Welcome everybody to the show. This is Worst Take, our first episode. I'm your host Armand here with my co-hosts.
I'm Cam.
And this is Zach. Take command, baby.
And what are we talking about first, guys?
Let's talk about the NFC East rivalry that we got to see yesterday. The
Sunday Night Football.
Slaughterhouse beat down Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants.
Yeah, it's got to be the story. It happened on prime time, and one of these teams showed up for prime time. The other one just simply did not. And yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah, I mean, and you said it yourself. One of these teams showed up, but both these teams are fighting for second place in the NFC East.
Right,
I
yeah.
think it's
I agree.
It's obvious.
The Philadelphia Eagles, right? I mean, we all know that.
No, actually, I was thinking more of the Washington Commanders.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. That's where you're at. Okay.
Yep.
Why is that?
We look promising, man. We young
Against the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean that's
yeah.
neither here nor there. You know, every bad team, every broken clock's right twice a day. You know what I mean? A dog has his day, and the Cardinals had their day yesterday, but it wasn't enough. You know, we have a bright young talent. We got a good leader in Sam Howell, who's a captain.
Let's talk about the Giants. You know, they had their day.
Real quick, I want to ask you, what place did you guys finish last year?
Last year?
Last year,
like
yes.
The year before this one.
Yes, 2022.
The most recent one that we just finished.
Yes, the most recent full season.
We finished fourth.
Fourth. How many division? Like how many teams are in each division?
I believe there's four.
Four. So you finished fourth of four. How would you describe fourth of fourth?
I would describe it as a valiant effort in a really, really hard division.
How would you describe it if you could only use 4 letters, though?
Last.
You say that a little louder?
Last.
Okay, thank you. Can we talk about the Giants-Cowboys game, guys? Lead me off, Cam. What did you think?
You know, I think Jones kind of shriveled under pressure. As well as, you know, I don't know who that center was, but he didn't know how to center.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, he just didn't hike the ball like he was supposed to. You know, Jones, he got the ball a couple times and it was like it was slipping.
It was raining.
It was raining, but it was a low snap. Absolutely.
It was a low snap. So, you know, he had that one, you know, he dove for the ball, and then the other
him in a
one,
very bad position. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, the bad snaps, and then, you know, they had to do the kick ball. And
well, that one actually led to, what was it? It was the
first touchdown of the game was a block kick.
Yeah, it was a block kick, yes.
Yeah, so, you know, they blocked the kick.
Yeah. So, I mean, right off the bat, huge momentum for the Cowboys. They get, I mean, it was a field goal on the first drive, and then that happens even after the kicker misses the PAT. They come out the next drive, and then there's a Saquon Barkley fumble. Hit him right in the back, fumbles again, returns it for another touchdown. All of a sudden, they're down 16. The game's already pretty much over by that point. It was going to be really rough for them to come back in that one. I really didn't see them managing that much of a comeback, and I feel like you could tell by their level of energy and their preparedness. It really seemed like they were not ready for the rest of that game.
I don't think this is a huge surprise. You know, as an NFC East fan myself, I think the Cowboys have been very good when Dak doesn't make mistakes, and I don't think we saw a lot of mistakes coming from him yesterday. I think their defense did amazing, which took the pressure off of their offense. But I don't think he made any mental mistakes as the person who led the league in interceptions last year, even though he missed 5 games. I think he did a very good job of bouncing back from that. And, I mean, his receiving core got better this past offseason. So, I think they're utilizing their weapons. Tony Pollard looked amazing. Looked like the true RB1 in Dallas that everybody except for Jerry Jones knew. And I think we just saw them at their full potential. I mean, granted, it was the Giants. Like, do that against Washington and I'll be impressed. It's New York. Like,
I do I agree with you that Cowboys are very, very good when Dak is not making mistakes. He had a rough season last year coming back. He had it interrupted with the injury, and I think that played a part into it. I really do like how he plays, and I think that's why I predicted him to bounce back from this. And this is why I did not like the contract that the Giants gave to Daniel Jones, because Dak Prescott is more of what you want from in a quarterback, that pocket passing quarterback that is going to get the ball to his receivers, not this running the ball always out of the pocket, because this is what you end up getting. This is multiple fumbles, multiple interceptions when he's on the run throwing the ball. This is what you're going to get. In this new style of playing quarterback, this is what you're going to get, especially when you're a Daniel Jones type of quarterback.
Are you not a fan of like Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson? Because I think they do.
I mean, they put up stats, but who ended up winning the Super Bowl? It was Patrick Mahomes, who he gets famous for all of his outside the pocket throws, on the run a little bit, but he stays much more in the pocket, and he's the one that ends up with the Super Bowl trophy. So
yeah, I think like Daniel Jones versus like Lamar or Hurts, these mobile quarterbacks is like you go to the store and you only have a couple bucks. You're not gonna get the name brand. You're gonna get like great value. It's like you're on a budget, so this is what you get. That's kind of like Daniel Jones to like.
I absolutely agree with you.
Just to interrupt there, Daniel Jones is getting paid $40 million a year. That's not very great.
Well, that's what I think. I think that's the mistake the Giants made. They paid $40 million for a great value brand quarterback. That's the mistake they made. They're going to learn from it pretty soon.
You want to talk about great value? Let's talk about Sam Howell. What a debut.
Here we go.
As the starting quarterback for the Washington Commanders. I mean, he's still on his rookie contract. I mean, he's not making anything close to Daniel Jones' money, and he still has more production. That doesn't define great value. I don't know what else will.
Sam Howell had a couple nice plays. I like the touchdown throw that he had, but overall, it was nothing special. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I saw, it was nothing special. But he did, I mean, just enough to beat what we all expect to be the worst team in the league.
A win is a win. It's not about who we played. All of those guys did what they could. Every single one of those players that we played against has made their way to the NFL, which means they're cream of the crop. They're the worst of the best. Every dog has its day, and the Cardinals had their day yesterday. Sam Howell had his day in his debut. First rookie quarterback to throw and rush for a touchdown for Washington since 1991. I mean, even RG3 couldn't do that. And that just shows a lot of promise.
Do you expect him to have an RG3 type season?
Oh, I expect him to have a Tom Brady kind of career.
Okay, all right. We're going to cut you off there. We were talking about the Giants and Cowboys, not about your Commanders.
So we talked about NFC East teams, and we're talking about the bottom.
We're talking about the two more relevant. Talking about the two more relevant. NFC
Giants are
East
on
teams.
one. Giants are on one.
Yes.
Take command. Want to know?
Okay. Anything else to say, Cam, about that Cowboys Giants game?
Yeah, just like I just think the Giants is just like they just play football and hold on to the ball, like secure it. They'll be all right. They'll be all right.
Thank you for the massive insight, Cameron. I appreciate it. Speaking of the New York Giants, speaking of Saquon Barkley, what he was supposed to do for this team, he didn't really show up either. I think that has to be said. And could part of that be due to what we saw over the offseason with the running back contracts? I mean, we saw with not only Saquon Barkley, we saw with Josh Jacobs, didn't show up till very late to the Raiders. They barely won their game, but they did manage to win. I mean, we're seeing it with Jonathan Taylor not playing right now. He's on the unavailable to perform list right now. Do you think this is affecting these teams? Because the Colts did lose without Jonathan Taylor out there. What do you guys think about these contracts? What do you think about these situations?
Yeah, I think with any big name running backs like those, when you get a Saquon, you get a JT, or you get a Josh Jacobs, a lot of the casuals think that these guys don't have to show up to training camp, that they've been with the system for so long and that they don't need to be there. But I mean, when you get the first team reps, as many as you can, I mean, they prove worthy when when it comes to the game time. I mean, it's running backs are crucial to a team because if you wanted to throw the ball every single play, half of those are going to get intercepted, like Dak Prescott did last year. And then we see players like Mac Jones, who threw 54 times against the Eagles, and they lose. So so you're going to have to relieve the pressure off your quarterback, and what better way to do that with a high-end running back? So I think they deserve all of the money that's coming to them. But when you see them not get their contracts and they hold out, you get poor performances like we saw from them the week 1.
Do you think they should be standing out of these camps? Because you saw the effect it has. Do you think they should be standing out of these camps for those contracts?
I don't think any player should miss camp. I don't think any position. I think every single player, if you're able to play, I think you should play. I think it's become more about the money than the love of the game. And some of these players out there would play for free. And those are the players that we love to watch, the ones that are dedicated to the sport because they love to do it, not because of the money that they're getting.
Now, I would have to agree because I understand the money situation. We're all about our money. We all need money. I understand that. But we're talking about $2 or $4 million worth of money when these guys are making $10 million a year, $12 million sometimes to play 17 games. What do we think Eric Dickerson was getting paid back in the day? Do you think he was asking for $12 million contracts? No, he just went out there, rookie season, puts up the rushing record in a rookie season. Do you think Walter Payton was asking for that type of money? No, he got an award named after him because of how good of a man he was. He wasn't asking for money. He was going out there putting out those performances.
Who?
Who what?
Are you asking who's Walter Payton?
You know Walter Payton.
Sweetness?
Chicago Bears running back. He has an award named after him.
Man of the Year award.
Nah.
You're telling me you don't know Walter Payton?
No Walter.
What Bears running backs do you know? Who do you think is the best Bears running back of all time?
Khalil
Herbert?
The current one? Oh boy.
I like Herbert.
We're talking about these no-name running backs, okay? Khalil Herbert, Walter Payton. Who exactly?
Exactly.
We need to be talking about is Brian Robinson Jr.
Oh my God.
What a stallion. I mean, workhorse running back. Can you name me another player in NFL history who was shot 5 times and came back before Michael Thomas, your player, came back from a turf toe injury?
I'll tell you who could have if he had the opportunity, because that's a very specific situation. I'll tell you who could have. Jim Brown. Jim Brown definitely would have been able to, and you know it.
Jim Brown
absolutely
is incomparable to Brian Robinson.
Is Brian Robinson playing in the freezing cold in Cleveland in December?
No. He's just playing under the bright lights of the Washington Commanders fans, and that's more pressure than Jim Brown has ever seen in his career.
I don't even think he's the best Robinson.
Who's the best Robinson in your opinion?
Bijan.
I agree. Absolutely.
Horrible take.
Incredible take. Bijan Robinson, rookie sensation.
You
Anyways, we're getting off.
Video?
Man,
we need to talk about
We
this.
are getting off.
Have you seen that draft where the dude took Brian Robinson Jr. over Bijan in round 1? And he tried to pawn it off like it was a mistake. He did it on purpose. It was on purpose. And it was the best pick he's had in his whole. I don't even know who he's picked before. But I can tell you, Brian Robinson Jr. in the first round was probably the best pick that he's ever had. And I hope he followed it up with Terry McLaurin in the second and then Jahan Dotson in the third. Because if he did, he's sitting real pretty right now.
Who would you take in the 4th? Sam Howell?
No. I take Antonio Gibson. Take Sam Howell in the 5th.
We're getting off the subject, man. We're talking about the running back contracts. Let's talk about why we're in this situation in the first place. Okay? This goes back to Todd Gurley getting drafted by the Rams. The Rams just the year before had drafted a running back. It was a 4th or 5th round pick by the name of Trey Mason. He had a very good year. Very, very good year. So when they took Todd Gurley 10th overall, when they had a lot of other positions of need, especially at quarterback, people were confused. People were very confused. But then Todd Gurley comes in and changes the face of that team. A team that was going nowhere all of a sudden had young potential with Todd Gurley. He wins Rookie of the Year. Before him, it was you were not seeing guys almost ever get picked in the first round as a running back. If it ever happened, it was at the end of the first round. It was taboo at that point, almost for a decade at that point, to take a running back in the first round. And after Todd Gurley's rookie season, things started to change because general managers, the one thing you need to know is that they are very reactionary. So what happens the year after he wins Rookie of the Year? Do you know, guys?
They go to the Super Bowl.
They do not go to the Super Bowl after they... No, absolutely not. They do move to Los Angeles. No, that was 2 years after. But what happens after is that the Cowboys draft Ezekiel Elliott because they feel comfortable enough after seeing Todd Gurley win Rookie of the Year. Here we go. The Commanders bias. I see your Commanders bias coming back in. Ezekiel Elliott has an incredible season that covers for Todd Gurley's kind of a sophomore slump. Ezekiel Elliott has a season that leads the Cowboys to a 12-4 record, first place in the NFC East.
Can you tell me what round they went out in those playoffs?
In the first round, but
first round.
First round to another NFC East team, the Giants. It was not your Washington team. But Ezekiel Elliott leads them to a 12-4 record. Should have been Rookie of the Year. Ended up being Dak Prescott. What happens the year after? In the draft, 2 running backs are taken in the top 10 now. Leonard Fournette at 4, Christian McCaffrey at 8. They have great rookie seasons. Todd Gurley and Ezekiel Elliott continue on to be damn near MVP level players. Saquon Barkley gets drafted 2nd overall, one of the highest places we've seen a running back be taken since the 90s. And then what starts to happen? The Rams go to a Super Bowl, Cowboys continue their playoff success, and then they give them massive contracts. And the massive contracts end up looking bad because injuries happened to them. Both Todd Gurley and Ezekiel Elliott got slowed down by injuries, and those contracts looked really bad. So for a while, it became, again, taboo to take running backs in the first round. You heard it this past draft. People were amazed that 2 running backs were taken in the top 15. But GMs have realized the mistake is not drafting running backs early in the first round. The mistake that the Rams and the Cowboys made was paying them at all. That's the mistake the owners realized, and that's now what every owner is doing because they see everybody else doing it and it's working. That's what you're going to see continue, and that's why no running backs are getting paid right now. And I'm going to tell you right now, it might not be this season, it might not be next. You're going to start seeing wide receivers, the same thing happening. Not because they get injured, but because of how fast good wide receivers are coming out of the draft now. Every year, you're seeing 3, 4, 5 first-round talents come out. So the same thing's going to happen to receivers as well.
So my question on that is, what do they do about draft capital? Because when you're a top 10 pick in the NFL and you perform well for those first couple of years, you got to get paid.
That's what they're going to say, but who is going to pay them? You're only going to get paid if the team that drafted you knows somebody else out there on the market is going to pay you. But if none of the other teams are willing to pay you because they're doing the same strategy as you, I don't have to pay you that money. That's the problem.
Well, the whole running back situation, I kind of get it because, like, I go for runs all the time and, my knees be hurting after. So just imagine, running through, like, 300-pound men and it's like you're getting tackled every play. It's like it's not sustainable to be running like that. And so,
yeah, that's absolutely right. You would know a lot about 300-pound men. All right, let's move on to our next subject. Let's talk about Team USA. Let's talk about Team USA and their failure in the FIBA World Cup this year, losing to Germany of all teams. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
You got it.
I think there's a lot of talent across all the countries in the world. And you see that best talent in the NBA. So when it's time for them to represent their home teams, it's going to be a little difficult when you have to have an All-American team. Now, that's when you have an All-American team that's not filled with the entirely best players in the NBA. Don't get me wrong, everybody in the NBA is good, but Josh Hart is not in the conversation of top talent in the NBA. Yet here he is on Team USA.
That's true, but he's not expected to be Team USA's best player on that team. Anthony Edwards is still better than like most teams' best player. Definitely better than Germany's best player, Dennis Schroeder. Would you not agree?
In the systems that they play in, absolutely. But we see what happens when the system's designed around a specific player. Germany rode with Schroeder, Team USA rode with Edwards, and the chips fell where they were.
I think that is a product of them not getting to play enough together. Absolutely. But if you are bringing the best players to Team USA, I think we all know it doesn't matter if you need the time together. You give everyone else the time together. If LeBron James and Kevin Durant are on that court, Team USA is absolutely winning for
Absolutely.
sure.
I mean, you saw it with the Redeem team. You know, you've got the best of the best.
Probably the
time.
best collection of talents of all time. I don't even think we could put it together a better team nowadays.
I absolutely agree. And I mean, you saw what happened. I mean, and it was still close. I mean, that Redeem team had a tough game against Spain in the finals. And it took clutch moments from clutch players. The one on your jersey.
Absolutely.
It took him to beat a team filled with the best superstars. You had Kobe Bryant, you had LeBron James, you had Dwayne Wade, you had all of these guys who were the top guy in the NBA at the time playing against Spain, and it wasn't a blowout. So I mean, there's talents coming from everywhere across the world now. I mean, you look at the last three guys to win MVP: Joel Embiid, not an American; Nikola Jokic, not American; Giannis Antetokounmpo, not American. So I mean, the world's expanding, the game's expanding. So I think if Team USA actually wants the chance to bring home the gold, you got to put the best that you have out there.
Mm-hmm. Cam, what did you think about Team USA's performance?
You know, I think they relied heavily on Anthony Edwards, and I don't know.
Who else did you like on that team though? Like performance wise, I know some guys struggled, but who else did you like?
Maybe like I don't know. Edwards shined a lot.
You don't know another?
But Brunson was cool too. I think
Okay.
Brunson, you know, he
Halliburton,
he had a good.
Jackson Jr.,
Mhm.
Bridges, none of them.
I like Jalen Brunson.
What did you
He had a
think-
good year.
What did you think
The
about Kevin
Knicks.
Durant's performance on the team?
I love KD, but I don't know. I don't think he gave it his all this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He did
absolutely.
have a pretty poor performance against Germany and Canada.
He really almost didn't even show up.
It's like he wasn't even there.
It's like he wasn't even there.
Yeah, I'd agree. Like, I love KD, but you know, maybe he's just saving fuel in the tank for the season. You know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think you could even say the same about LeBron James.
I mean, yeah, it's almost like they might as well have not even been on the roster. You know, think those other guys could have got it done without him.
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of these young guys that they got it within them. You know, Anthony Edwards, he has that dog in him. He just you know, I think the old heads were keeping him down a little bit. You know, NBA old heads. You know, NBA old heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's too bad that neither of those guys were on the team, but
Weren't even there.
weren't even there.
What?
Yeah, weren't even there.
Bobby
what-
Portis was the oldest player on that team.
Mm-hmm.
But no, like, what about the dude who was
Weren't
like
even
standing in the post?
I'm cutting you off. You know nothing about this subject. But they might actually be on the team come the Olympics because of how embarrassing this loss is. It's might actually convince LeBron James and Kevin Durant and Stephen Curry and Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis and many more to come out and play for the Olympic team. Almost like a redeem team like we were talking about earlier. What do you think are their prospects entering the Olympics?
I mean, you put a team together like that with so many talented pieces. It's kind of like you're bringing the Washington football team in the NBA. I mean, they don't even compare. To be honest, I can't even imagine LeBron and Steph Curry and Anthony Davis, these guys like this, remotely being as good as this Washington team is. But it's pretty close, you know. I mean,
Do you stand any other team? We're talking about basketball, right?
Yeah, but I mean, greatness translates to all sports, and when you just see a team full of greats, you're like, oh my, that just reminds me so much of the Washington Commanders. And when I see the roster that this 2024 team could be, it's like looking in a mirror. You know, I see the same thing when I look at Sam Howell and Terry McLaurin. I just see gold in your future. You know, I see a Lombardi the same way I see that gold medal wrapping around their necks.
All right. Since my co-host Zach here is so transfixed on NFL, we're gonna go back to it. We're gonna predict our week 2, the week 2 matchups.
Absolutely.
Give our picks. So let's start it off with Thursday Night Football. Let's go Vikings Eagles. Zach, give me your pick.
As much as it pains me to say this, because I don't root for any other team in the NFC East, I'm gonna rock with the Birds.
Mm.
I think Jalen Hurts is. I think he's that guy. You know, I think he's the second best quarterback in the NFC East. I think he's gonna show it against that Minnesota defense.
Who is the best? Is it
Sam
Dak
Howell.
Prescott? Oh,
Sam
okay.
Howell.
All right, Cam.
I'm gonna go with Vikings. I like Jay Jettis. He's like
You heard of
really
Darius Slay?
fast. Huh?
You heard of Darius Slay?
I like Justin Jefferson. He's really fast, you know. And I don't think anybody can keep up with him on the Eagles, you know. It's fly Eagles fly until the
Except
jet
for their-
comes.
Except for their 2 All-Pro corners they had last year, right?
Jay Jettis, baby. Yeah.
The man throwing in the ball, Kirk Cousins. Now that's a quarterback.
Oh,
Now
don't
that's
get me
a quarterback.
started on Kirk,
Now
man.
that's a quarterback who stands in the pocket, takes his hits, and can throw the ball downfield. You look at Justin Jefferson's numbers. Who's throwing him the ball? It's Kirk Cousins. Had a bit of a rough day to start off, but ended up throwing 300 plus yards. Better defensive performance. That's a win for the Vikings, which it should have been. I will say though, if this was a normal game, I would pick the Minnesota Vikings. We all know about primetime Kirk. I will say primetime Kirk. I need to see it before I can trust him. I love him as a quarterback, but I need to see it before I can trust him. So I am tentatively, sorrily, going to go with the Eagles for my pick as well. Let's start off the Sunday slate, 10 a.m. games. Bengals, Ravens.
Man, if you would have asked me last week, I would have jumped on the Bengals train. But watching what Deshaun and Myles Garrett did to the Bengals, watching Myles Garrett practice his in and out crossover before rushing Joe Burrow,
Mm-hmm.
give me the Ravens.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the Bengals. You know, they're really fierce, but Bengals. And Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty, he's cold with it. He had a off week the first week, but he's coming back with a vengeance, and the Ravens are gonna feel it this week.
I'm conflicted because the Ravens defense is very good. We saw what they can be with Roquan Smith back there at linebacker. And the Bengals did look very bad. I do got to admit, the Bengals did look very bad. Lamar Jackson, you know how I feel about the running back style quarterback play. I am going to go with the Bengals for that reason, though. I think Joe Burrow will bounce back. He had a very rough week 1 last year. If you go back and look, they played the Steelers. He threw 5 picks. But what did they end up doing? They go, 13-3 because of that canceled game, the DeMar Hamlin situation. They go 13-3. They win the division. They make the playoffs. I understand 0-1 to start off is rough, but I still have them winning the division. Let's go Chiefs Jaguars. Probably the matchup of the week.
Yeah, it sounds like it on paper, but once we see Travis Kelce get back on the field, it's going to be pretty obvious that the Chiefs are going to take over this game. Patrick Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence is good. Patrick Mahomes is way better, and you give him back his best target. Chris Jones should be back next week, just signed his new deal. And, this Jaguars team is good against teams that can't keep their foot on the gas pedal. That's what we saw when they played the Chargers. We saw that big comeback in the playoffs, but the Chargers took their foot off the gas pedal. When the Chiefs go up, they stay up. So give me Kansas City.
I think I really like Trevor Lawrence. He has a really great skill set, and I really like Christian Kirk. They got Ridley too. And yeah, the Chiefs are good, but something gives me a feeling the Jaguars are gonna pull it out this week.
If you asked me last week, I would have said that this is the Jaguars' time to make this upset if they were both 1-0. But the fact that the Chiefs lost, go 0-1, I just can't see this reigning champs, Andy Reid led team go to 0-2 on the season. I just can't. So I'm gonna have to pick the Chiefs. Next up, Bills Raiders.
Bills. Raiders
Cam?
suck.
I'm gonna say Raiders.
Are you just picking everything opposite him?
That's what it sounds like he's doing.
No.
Okay, what's your reasoning for the Raiders over the Bills?
I think the Raiders, Jacobs, he had a bad game. He's gonna have a good game this time.
Okay. I'm gonna go Bills. The logical choice, probably my lock of the week. I would have to say.
We'll get to that in a moment.
Okay. Lock of the week for me. I do not trust a team that's led by a coach that, by all reports, the Raiders would have fired by now. They would have fired Josh McDaniels if they could actually afford it, but they can't afford to fire their own coach because they would have to pay a severance to him. So that's the only reason why, apparently, allegedly, he's still on the team. So I'm going to take Josh Allen and the Bills. Let's go on. Let's go to Commanders. Commanders Broncos. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I can't even believe you asked me that.
I just wanted your input. He's completely left. I thought he was joking. He's gone. I don't even see him anymore. Cameron, I guess we're gonna have to do this by ourselves. I guess I insulted him.
So Commanders, say it again.
Commanders Broncos.
I think the Broncos are gonna win this week. Russell Wilson, I think he had a pretty good first week. They couldn't secure the win last week. I think they couldn't finish, but Russell Wilson is looking like Russell Wilson.
Okay. Let's go NFC West matchup. My Rams, speaking of them, since you brought them up against the Seahawks, against the 49ers. What are your thoughts on that? I didn't even tell you my thoughts on the Broncos Commanders. Let me go to that real quick. I'm going to pick the Broncos as well. I don't think that Sam Howell is going to have a bounce back performance because, let's be honest, that performance was really rough. I know I'm glad Zach's gone to not hear me say this, but I don't think the Commanders' magic is going to last much longer here. His 17-0 tune that he's singing right now is going to come crashing down soon, and I think that comes next week. On to 49ers Rams. I'll let you go now. What do you think?
I think the 49ers got this one. They absolutely demolished. What team was it?
You don't know what team it is?
No, I'm
No, this is a professional show. What are we doing? It's the Steelers. Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they completely demolished the Steelers. And, the Niners, they dominated in every facet of the game. And I think their defense is good, their offense is good. As long as there's not a whole lot of, pressure on Purdy, I think they'll be good.
I like the alliteration. Pressure on Purdy. Talk about a real quarterback. Brock Purdy just stands in the pocket, does his job, does what Kyle Shanahan wants. That's everything you want from a quarterback. What does he do? Leads them to a massive victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm sorry fans. We tried to tell you, Pittsburgh fans, his hands are just too small, man. Hands are too small. Kenny Pickett, small hands. Against the Rams, as much as I would like to be a big homer like my co-host Zach is, so much so that he left the show, I am going to have to pick the 49ers as well. I don't see the Rams putting that performance that they did on offense. I don't see it happening against this 49ers defense with Bosa and all of the collection of talents they have. Talanoa Hufanga back there as safety. I just don't see it. So I'm going to take the 49ers as well. Uh, let's go Dolphins Patriots.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the Dolphins just because Tyreek Hill, super fast. Like I like my fast receivers, and when you got Cheetah on your team, who can keep up with a cheetah? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Patriots have their work cut out for them, as well as like uh, Jones. McDonald Jones. I think he's
McDonald.
he's not.
You say McDonald Jones?
Yeah, McDonald Jones.
Is that because you think? Is that what you think it's short for? Mac?
That's what Mac is short for. No, McDonald.
It's like okay, all right. His name's not McDonald Jones, but he might as well be with the performance he put up there. We're gonna start calling him McDonald Jones. Now that I think about it, I like that name. Um, but I'm still gonna take the Patriots. I think this is a well-run franchise. There's a reason why they've been great for 20 plus years. They've had a bit of a down year for sure, but Bill Belichick is still the smartest mind in coaching. And sure, Mac Jones is not Tom Brady, but this is a system. You come and you play the system, they'll work out. Talk about a franchise, great ownership, great everything down the whole thing, and yeah, I'll take the Patriots. The Patriots still run it the old way, the way it's supposed to be.
What do you? I'm confused. Are we still talking about football?
Yeah. What else would we be talking about? I
I was just
just
got
like
confused because
I just like how Kraft owns it, how he runs his ownership deal. That's all. We're missing a lot of great owners these days. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, let's move on. Saints Panthers. Let's talk about your team, Cam.
who that? Who that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Saints Panthers. People talk about this Bryce Young guy, but it doesn't seem like he can throw very well so far. I think he's okay. It's gonna take a while for him to adjust, and that Saints defense, you saw, it was carrying the game last week. Saints defense,
It
right?
was very much because the offense was not doing much. Yes.
But the offense will be a lot better this week, and yeah, I got Who Dat Nation for this week.
I think the Panthers defense is very underrated. And I think what you saw from the Titans defense is a similar thing you're going to see from the Panthers defense. I think it's a very good defense with Brian Burns, especially off the edge. They have a very, very great underrated corner in J.C. Horn. And I think you're going to see a similar performance from Derek Carr because I'm not a I don't trust this Dennis Allen as a coach because he feels like the one new coach that doesn't get any criticism just because there's this like passing of the torch from Sean Payton to him, and we're just supposed to accept that he's going to be this next step. And I don't know that I trust it. I really don't. So I am going to take the Panthers. I like the Panthers prospects this season. I picked them to win the NFC South this season because I think Bryce Young is a very NFL ready quarterback. He had a rough game first, but a lot of rookie quarterbacks do for their first game. I'm going to pick the Panthers for this game, though.
Wow.
Let's go to Browns Steelers. That is our Monday Night Football. That's the last game. That's our last matchup.
Browns Steelers.
Browns Steelers, yes.
Give me the Steelers. I think they're gonna steal this one.
Is that all your input?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think as much as I hate it, I want to hate the Browns right now because of the whole Deshaun Watson situation. I think what you saw from the Steelers was very sorry against the 49ers. They were very bad. They were really, really rough. The everything you've seen from this Pittsburgh team that has carried this level of success for them over this like Mike Tomlin run is not there. They don't have a stalwart at quarterback. It's Kenny Pickett right now. I'm not a believer in him. They don't have the studs at the position groups, at the skill position. they don't have a great running back. Najee Harris is very unreliable and inefficient. They don't have amazing skill position players comparably to the rest of the league. They're like, when you compare their wide receiver room to the rest of the league, they're probably below average right now. Their defense is still very good, but I just don't see it when you have a running back like Nick Chubb that can just run this defense down and tire them out, and then Deshaun Watson can go and get you yardage up top, and that's, I think, all they're gonna need, because I don't know how much this Pittsburgh offense can do. So I'm gonna take the Cleveland Browns, unfortunately, to start the season 2-0 and be on top of the AFC North over there. So those are our picks. I was wishing all three of us could sign you out here, but Zach got so upset he never came back. So hopefully we'll have everyone back for the next episode, and we'll see you then. Signing off from Worst Take is me. I'm Armon. Cameron here.
Cam, yeah.
And Zach's chair, where his butt used to be. But we'll see you later. We'll see you next week for next week's show.
See you later.
Appreciate you being here. Bye.